start looking at the difference between offices or agents and what's more important, I mean, it really does come down to the agent, doesn't it? I mean, when you look at it, because different real estate agents really have different service levels. It has nothing to do with the company or the I guess even the office.
Well, I've worked with a lot of different agents over the past, and there's always that 10% that just goes above and beyond. They could be at any company and do very well. I think with Windermere and kind of stuff we'll talk about today that we kind of go over on listing presentations and how having the name and the brand loyalty behind it really makes a big difference. So there's a study that they did. It's called The Sign in the Yard Matters, and they surveyed a couple thousand agents in the local area, and they asked, who would you rather work with, which company out of, I think it was 14 different companies. In Windermere, 69% of the agents chose Windermere there. So I think that says a lot about the company. For sure.
So when you start looking at, I guess, what you offer, though, is it different than what other Windermere agents offer? Personally,
yeah. I think on listing presentation, there's strategies that I use for getting market position and kind of going over that route. We'll chat about that a little bit, kind of about professional photography and everything, and some other strategies that we use. But I think the biggest thing is having the name behind you. That makes a big difference, especially when you're competing with 7 or 8 other listing agents for a listing.
And just from the listing side, so what does Windermere do? What do you do specifically when it comes down to that? Because certainly it's not. Not everybody's going to. It's not like you're reading off a script when you get to meet with people,
right? Actually, I have a couple laminated flyers that I bring through, and I kind of say we tour the house, and then this is what it boils down to. We've got to appeal to the consumers out there, the buyers that are going to want to buy the home, and then we got to appeal to the top agents, no matter what company they're at. And to do that, we send out, it's called Zip Your Flyer. It's kind of a funny name. And what you can do is you can pick the subject property, and you can go around to the 10,000 closest agents, and then it sends email to them that the home's just been listed. So by doing that, all the agents that are selling in that market area get a copy of the listing. So that works really well there. And then for buyers, we get the professional photographer out there, and we take really high quality photos, and we put together a single property website through a company called realbird.com. And with that website, we send it out to all the different social media and the different real estate avenues out there in the World Wide Web. And then
the World Wide Web. I haven't heard it called the World Wide Web in a very long time.
I like it. And so with that realbird.com, you can actually get, I've got an example here that I use. There's 106 views in less than 3 hours of the listing. So it works really well. And then another big part of it is utilizing Zillow. So we offer a buyer incentive on the particular listing. So when people are looking for homes, say in Kirkland, there's 30 pages on Zillow of listings in Kirkland. If you have the buyer incentive, it actually pops to the front page. So by utilizing that, it just says, we'll pay $3,000 towards your closing costs if we get a full price offer in. And then they've got to make note of that in the offer. But that really helps kind of get in front of everything.
Yeah. Does it matter how far in front you are with your listing, though? At some point in time, aren't you going to reach all the buyers just by going on the MLS?
Yeah, but that's just one part. Everybody can do that. Everybody can put on the MLS. But going above and beyond what we do at Windermere is we got to figure out how to get more views on the listing, and that's the goal.
Mm-hmm. How many more views do you get by going through something like this rather than just putting it on as a regular listing?
That's a great question, Ben. So if you take a look at one of my listings, you just Google search the address and then take a competitor's listing and Google search the address, you'll see it's about 3 times the search results on Google. So it's because the various market that we do that we kind of talked about here.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
So how does that end up with pricing a home? Does that end up garnishing more money for a house? Because in a lot of ways, isn't that really what the seller's kind of after, is more money?
Yeah.
It's all great. It's like, you put it wherever you want. Just sell my house for more and let's get this thing done.
Exactly. And you want to get the buyer population larger. That's your goal, is to increase the sample size, right? So in doing more marketing like we do and we talked about here, you're able to do that, get more eyes in front of it, more potential buyers to put a bid on and bid it up.
Tyler Freed joins us, branch manager of the Windermere Real Estate in Lake Tapps. So Tyler, when you start looking at a listing presentation, what is the first step you go through with sellers in this market?
Well, we explain what's going on. So we look at the stats. We can show you kind of what the neighborhood's doing and how prices are going. And then we review the market analysis, then put together a marketing plan to kind of capture that. Mm-hmm. So I think going over the different various pieces of marketing we do, I even talk a little bit about doing some radio advertising on Brassionomics and give it some pump there. But it's you start with the marketing and then you finish with the pricing strategy. And just by going that route, figure out the reason they want to sell and then go from there.
So when you start looking at the pricing strategy in this type of market, you have, of course, house prices going up, now mortgage rates going up. It was just yesterday, or in the paper, I guess, it was just noted that Seattle now is in the top 10 for highest cost apartments in the country. You have everything kind of going up. So sellers in some way must be like, well, if everything's going up, I mean, what do you tell them to kind of show them where their value might be? It must be some sort of complex ideas there.
That's a good point. We had this conversation yesterday at lunch with a friend that she's got a condo in California and everything's kind of going up. So she's trying to figure out what to do. And obviously, as a seller, you kind of want to, hold off and then wait and put on the market as values rise. But we're kind of losing a little bit of the buyer pool. I mean, the rates were 3.5, 3.25 earlier this year, and they're going to be jumping up close to 4.5 by the end of the year. So
they're already at 4.5, closer to 5.
Yeah, it's just nuts. So that's taking out a percentage and the money that they can put towards their mortgage there.
Yeah. How many people are looking back as a seller? I mean, do you talk to sellers now who are like, gosh, a month ago, 2 months ago, so many more people, or is it not like that? I mean, has the mortgage rates not really affected the seller's pocketbook yet, or has it?
Well, a lot of those people that sold that time that could have got a little more money waiting actually got into a new home, and then they got a lower interest rate. So it's kind of a win-win. We always say, take a haircut here and then give someone else a haircut when you buy a house.
That's what you say?
Yeah.
I don't even get it.
You don't get it?
Kind of.
Well, you sell at this price and it might be a little bit lower than if you waited, but then when you're going and purchasing at that time, you can get the home for a lower price.
Like pay your haircut forward.
There we go. I like it.
Tyler Freed joins me, branch manager with Windermere Real Estate Lake Tahoe. So Tyler, talk a little bit about maybe some of the other strategies you guys are using with your listings.
A big part of it is we talked about the e-flyers out there, and then we also talked about a little bit of the market share, and that's something we'll talk about a little bit towards the end of the show there. But utilizing that, and then Zillow, and then getting the broker population into it. So we have a broker's
open. What does
that
mean?
Is you've got to get basically agents and buyers through. That's the whole goal. So we have a broker's open, and we'll get price opinions back from other agents. So what I like to do is say, hey, put your business card towards a price of what you think the home will sell for, and whoever gets closest to it, we give them a $100 visa. By doing that, you get an honest, true opinion of what the home's going to sell for.
And so as you start to drive brokers through, I mean, I guess it's interesting maybe to some people that brokers don't know about all the houses that are going on the market.
Well, you got to get in there and see it. I mean, because a lot of these homes, because
the bus rides don't exist anymore, right?
We still tour.
You guys do
tour
buses?
We're touring tomorrow, actually.
Are you?
Yeah, but it's not. It depends on the area too of how common it is. But getting in there, I mean, you can't really tell a lot from the photos always. You got to walk through the home and get the feel.
That's because you all are getting professional photos done with touch-ups.
It's important. It's an important part of it. You got to get people in there and let them make a decision.
Yeah. So when you guys, really, the brokers, you really do have to alert them to houses. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you want to get them in there. I mean, it's just traffic. This is how real estate's always been. If you're getting traffic and showings, your price right. If no one's looking at the home, you need to drop the price. If you're not getting in competitive offers, you need to drop the price. So we got to figure out how that happens, and that happens with getting people through the door.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so when you start looking at that competition, I imagine there's competition on most listings. Is that right?
Yeah, it's usually 2 or 3 agents that you're competing with, so you got to put your
pointing
best
to
foot
Eric
forward.
over there. I think he's got a rebuttal at some point in time. I just see it brewing on his face. Tyler, we just have about a minute left. We have to go to break. But when you really do start putting all of these pieces together, what should the seller feel like they're about to go through once they've chosen an agent? I mean, should it be seamless? Are there big bumps in the road still?
It should be seamless. I mean, you set the expectations at that listing appointment. You let them know what to expect. They have a good idea of what inventory is doing. They know what their neighbors' homes are selling for. They know what kind of marketing you're going to do. So as long as everything goes good on the financing end, it should be seamless.
I mean, really, from the buyer's perspective, the buyer has to be the right buyer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big part as agents. What we're doing is we got to make sure that the future buyers have a good loan program they're going through, and they're on top of it, and they're qualified and ready to move forward.
Is that happening more and more, or less and less now?
More and more. Unfortunately, I just had one this morning where the buyer's financing kind of failed at the 11th hour there, and that's very uncommon. A lot of the times it's seamless once it gets to the point.
It seems like lenders are also a little bit less afraid. I mean, it used to be like, oh, we'll just get it done, and then it was chaos. Most lenders in the business now are a lot better. Yeah. And they're like, look, you have to give me everything. And I think most agents are also in the impression, in fact, we were talking about before the show started, like, just get them the paperwork. Because it's not, I think the joke in the mortgage industry is like, I personally do not want page 3 of your bank statement because it's fuzzy. I promise I personally don't want it. But if you want the money that's sitting here, if you want $500,000 to be delivered on your behalf to somebody, you're going to need the fuzzy page to not be fuzzy. And it's a really interesting piece because you just have people who think like, oh, he's putting me through the ringer. Like, look, we're all trying to help.
Yeah, and it's a lot of paperwork gathering, like you said, and I've seen that on the side where people get frustrated. They're asking for this stuff, but at the end of the day, you gotta
makes your buyers and sellers happier.
Yeah, there we go.